Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss the first Uriah Heep album, self-titled in the US. This is the US album cover, so it's pretty cool the way the gatefold opens up like this. The inside, outside of the US, it had a picture of David Byron on the cover with spiderwebs all over him, and the album was titled Very Eavy, Very Umble. And there is one very crucial difference between those two albums. There's a different track on this, on the US version than the UK version. There's songs that get swapped out, and we're going to talk about that as we get into the record, but it makes a huge difference in my opinion, so I very much prefer the US version, and I actually like this cover. I think the cover, I think that it's pretty cool. It makes it look pretty heavy. Now, Uriah Heep. When I think of the birth of heavy metal, the groundwork for me was laid in 1970 with three bands. The first Black Sabbath album, Deep Purple in rock, and the first self-titled, Very Eavy, Very Umble, Uriah Heep. Uriah Heep, at least here in the States, being the least popular out of those three. I can't really think of, honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard a Uriah Heep song on classic rock radio. I think I might have heard The Wizard once, or Stealin', I don't, but they certainly don't get played on classic rock radio the way that Deep Purple with Smoke on the Water, Woman from Tokyo, of course, Black Sabbath with Iron Man and War Pigs and stuff. But this is a very heavy album for its time, and I think it was important in developing the sound of heavy metal. A lot of times Uriah Heep gets compared to Deep Purple because they have keyboards in them, and it's like almost any band from the 70s that has heavy keyboards in it gets compared to Deep Purple. I think it's a little it makes sense because the keyboards are a big part of the organ sound here. Is a big part of the Uriah Heep sound as it was in Deep Purple, although I think that it's used a little bit differently, and maybe where Deep Purple, Ritchie Blackmore was a big driving force with his riffs and guitar playing and stuff. Here in Uriah Heep, it's a little bit more equal balance between the keyboard and the guitar. Okay, so I also did a video on Demons and Wizards and the Magician's Birthday. I will link those in the description down below. Now, this version of Uriah Heep is, originally the band was called Spice. And there's still some leftover, there's still some songs from the Spice era that appear on this album. So the listing of who's on this record, I got to put on my glasses for this because there's a lot of people listening to this. I never realized this until I started researching this for this video. David Byron, lead vocals, he would be on a bunch of their records here for a while. He's kind of the classic Uriah Heep vocalist, an absolutely amazing voice, a very underrated singer in my opinion. Ken Hensley comes in. He would be another mainstay in the band, but he doesn't play on everything. He doesn't play on the song Come Away Melinda and Wake Up, Set Your Sights. Those are played by Colin Wood. Colin Wood plays keyboards, so I believe was a session guy that they brought in during the Spice era. Those were songs that they were doing before they became Uriah Heep. Mick Box on guitar, he's still the remaining member that's been in Uriah Heep their entire career. Paul Newton on bass, and he would be on bass until what many consider to be the classic Heep lineup of Lee Kerslake on drums, Gary Thane on bass, David Byron, Ken Hensley, and Mick Box, and Nigel Olsen, who plays drums on Lucy Blues, Dream Air. Alex Napier plays drums on everything except those two and Bird of Prey. Keith Baker plays drums on Bird of Prey. So there's three different drummers here on this record. So it's kind of a mix. And the album itself it's Uriah Heep, I think, kind of experimenting and trying to find their sound. So you get some heavy stuff on here. You get some proto-metal. You get some more psychedelic, progressive type things, like in the final track on the album, Wake Up, Set Your Sights. You get some folk stuff on here with Come Away Melinda. So it's a little bit of everything. They're searching for their sound, but overall there's a heavy kind of vibe to a lot of this, and I think that that's why I've always loved this record, and that's why I think it's important to the development of heavy metal. So the album opens with Gypsy, kind of a Uriah Heep signature song, if you will. It's their Iron Man, it's their Highway Star, you know, type of song. Again, Uriah Heep never really had any huge radio hit the way Deep Purple did, for instance. But Gypsy is a song that they still play to this day. Super heavy. The main riff in this is just really pounding, really driving. Here again, Ken Hensley's organ is just right along there with the guitar, making that riff really big and powerful. The lyrics are great in it. It's written by Mick Box and Dave Byron. The lyrics are the classic guy falls in love with a gypsy queen, her father won't accept her, you know, this sort of different worlds coming together type of thing. And it's just great. There's great keyboard playing. There's a part in this song where everything sort of drops out and the keyboard's just playing. Very cool. The main riff on this is super heavy. And for its time, a really heavy song and a great heavy opener to the record. Okay, next is Walking in Your Shadow, which is a cool kind of rock, hard rock one. Next we get Come Away Melinda, which is actually a cover song. It was written by Fred Hellerman and Frank Minkoff, and the song was made famous. It's an anti-war song that was first released by Harry Belafonte, and it was made famous by him. And here it works. It's real gentle. It's really soft. It has a real sort of creepy vibe to it. There's some strings and everything mixed into it that gives it a real atmosphere to it. So it's kind of like a dark folk song, if you will. Okay, now here's where things get really different. On the US version is the song Bird of Prey, which is the fourth song. On the other version, it's a song called Lucy Blues. To me, Lucy Blues is a completely forgettable, just standard kind of blues number. Again, they're trying all these different things here. We've already had the heavy proto-metal of Gypsy, the folky psych of Come Away Melinda, and then on the very Eavy, very Umble version, we get Lucy Blues, which to me is just completely forgettable. Least favorite song on the album. But on the US version, you get Bird of Prey, and if you've never heard Bird of Prey would appear on the it would appear on the Salisbury album also. And it is a awesome proto-metal song. It's got this great chugging riff to it. David Byron's melody line where he's like jumping up high in his range. It's just super heavy, great. Sounds like, you know, reminds me of like Pictures of Home or something from Deep Purple, you know, the Machine Head album, or Flight of the Rat, like that kind of vibe. It's dark, it's heavy, it's got a super cool riff. It's this chugging feel to it, and the melody line is just great in it. way better, completely changes the feel of the album for me. It sort of reminds me of the first Black Sabbath album. Outside of the US, they had, in place of Wicked World, they had The Evil Woman, which was a cover song, and I can't imagine that because Wicked World is so cool, and Evil Woman, although it's an interesting curioso piece, it would have taken away from the vibe of the first Black Sabbath album for me if I didn't have Wicked World on. And it's the same thing with this Uriah Heep album. Lucy Blues sort of takes me out of the mood here. Bird of Prey is just perfect. Great proto-metal. If you haven't heard it, look it up. All right, side 2 opens with Dream Air, which is cool, singing about riding on clouds and stuff like that, a little bit psychedelic. Real Turned On is cool, I'll Keep On Trying. And the album ends with the song Wake Up, Set Your Sights, which is almost the longest song. Gypsy is the longest at 6:37. This is the second longest song on here, and it's pretty kind of progressive and proggy, maybe something you'd hear them kind of going towards a little bit on a Salisbury album. So there you go. Uriah Heep, first self-titled Uriah Heep album. Great, heavy album. If for some reason you haven't heard this record, usually Demons and Wizards, Magician's Birthday, those are the albums that people think of first when they think of Uriah Heep. Check this out. Make sure you check out the song Bird of Prey because it is absolutely awesome. Great proto-metal. An album that I really dig. The production on it is really good too for its time. It was produced by Gary Braun. The album was released in 1970. If I didn't mention that, recorded in the late 60s, recorded in 69, released in 70, and the production on it is really good. You can hear everything. The guitar has a really great sound. The keyboards are there. It's very punchy. The bass is present. The vocals sound great, and it has kind of has a bit of a mood to it that you hear in Gypsy, Bird of Prey, Wake Up, Set Your Sights, and songs like that. So, okay, let me know what you guys think of the first self-titled, very heavy, very humble Uriah Heep. Let me know what you think of the song Bird of Prey, and if it really does, for you, change the feel of this record. It does for me. All right, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you check out my socials, check out my other Uriah Heep video. Until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy. Stay heavy, stay humble.